Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone 13 Pro Max just came out, so let's go and compare it to the iPhone XR, which is a crazy cool phone still. I mean, definitely the 13 Pro Max is the better one for sure. I will leave both of these phones linked down in the description below, so you can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely see that the iPhone 13 Pro Max is a much bigger sized phone. I mean, this phone is massive 6.7-inch OLED panel versus the iPhone XR, the 6.1-inch IPS panel. So you're definitely getting, kind of a different experience. I don't know what happened to the XR there. You're getting a different experience on both. Definitely the iPhone 13 Pro Max's panel is far superior. I mean, this is a beautiful panel. It's perfect. Smaller notch, smaller bezel all around on the 13 Pro Max as well. But you're also getting the 120 hertz refresh rate on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which essentially just makes the screen so much smoother. It's a big difference. I'm not just overhyping it. The XR with that 60 hertz panel, there's a big difference here. So the 13 Pro Max wins not only in terms of I like having a bigger display, I like having the 120 hertz panel, but also it's OLED, which is another big advantage of it. Now, in terms of the thinness and thickness between the two, you'll definitely be able to tell that the 13 Pro Max is a much bigger phone, but it's also much thicker as well. So that is another slight difference. Again, I don't think it's like a crazy, dominating factor, but that 13 Pro Max is a massive sized phone with the flat sides. Definitely feels much more premium than the XR. And on the back, glass backs on both, but you do have a different type of experience on both as well. The 13 Pro Max has that frosted glass back. The iPhone XR has the standard glass back, triple camera setup with a LiDAR sensor on this phone. The XR has that single wide-angle lens. Both phones feel good. There's not one of these phones that feels cheap, but the 13 Pro Max feels like that more premium phone for sure. Both of them have IP certification, all that good stuff. Power button on the side right here, lightning port at the bottom, and that really pretty much covers it up on the outside. Now, definitely when you're feeling both, the 13 Pro Max is heavier, it feels much more premium. But the XR still doesn't feel cheap either, and that's a big thing I want to keep reiterating, is that neither of these phones feel cheap. It's just the 13 Pro Max feels more premium. Now, another big thing between these phones is the longevity. The iPhone XR actually came out, and I hate putting this phone down because it's so heavy. The iPhone XR actually came out in 2018, so it's definitely not a brand new phone anymore. Apple was just still selling this phone brand new up until like a week ago when this phone came out, but it's not going to be lasting as long as something like a 13 Pro Max. I mean, this phone literally just came out, so it's a pretty big thing to keep in mind. This phone is going to be lasting for several more years. So what does that mean? Well, essentially, when you go and buy an iPhone XR, expect to have many more years of updates on the iPhone 13 Pro Max than on the iPhone XR. So that is a pretty big thing to keep in mind here as well. But for the time being, as of right now, the iPhone XR is still being supported, and you're probably not going to see too many differences in terms of iOS at the time being. But do know that, 3-4 years later, the 13 Pro Max will still be getting updates there. So that pretty much covers it up there. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both of these iPhones. Now the 13 Pro Max has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM, but the iPhone XR has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster iPhone between both of these. Okay, there we go. Let's go and clear the apps in the background, which they are all cleared out. Let's go and get into phone calls. 3, 2, 1. And I think the 13 Pro Max was probably the faster one there. Music, 3, 2, 1. And I don't know which one is faster here. They both kind of had different things going on. So let's go and hop out of this one. Let's go into the app stores. 3, 2, 1. And the 13 Pro Max definitely was far faster here. Scrolling through, you may be able to tell some differences here. Maybe not. Getting into here. Actually, I think the XR was faster here. Hopping out of this specific app, let's get into something like, settings. 3, 2, 1. 13 Pro Max, I think, was slightly faster. Clock. 3, 2, 1. Kind of the same thing too, not a big difference. Mail, 3, 2, 1. 13 Pro Max, I think, was the faster one here. And that pretty much covers up all these main applications I wanted to test. Now let's go and do some of these third-party applications that I have here. Let's do Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. 13 Pro Max was faster. Hopping out of this one, Dropbox, 3, 2, 1. 13 Pro Max again is faster. I'm actually seeing some pretty big differences here. I wasn't expecting this. Facebook, 3, 2, 1. 13 Pro Max again is faster. XR a little bit behind. Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. And one thing I hate about the 13 Pro Max is just how much it turns and rocks versus the XR, which pretty much stays flat for the most part. You can see the 13 Pro Max was faster to load into that application. Stack, 3, 2, 1. I don't know what was going on. The 13 Pro Max, I think, was a faster one. XR a bit behind. Snake versus Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And the 13 Pro Max again was a faster one there. Hopping out of this specific app, let's get into Thank You. 3, 2, 1. And 13 Pro Max again is the faster one. 10R a little bit behind, nothing again super crazy. Netflix 3, 2, 1. And I think the 10R I think was actually faster there. That was very weird. Quizlet, which I think I just did. 3, 2, 1. Yep, I already did these ones. Don't have it here. Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. I think this dude's mowing the lawn outside. That's so loud. And both on downloading content, 13 Pro Max looks like it's faster here. 10R a little bit behind. Again, nothing insane, but at least we're seeing some differences here. Last couple years, one iteration to the other, not many updates, not many changes, but we're seeing some pretty big differences here, which I love seeing. We can do Snapchat 3, 2, 1. And 13 Pro Max again is the faster one. So I think this one goes without saying that the 13 Pro Max is by far the faster one for sure. But another thing to keep in mind is you're not seeing over the camera is the smoothness factor. The 13 Pro Max is a smoother phone because of that 120 Hz refresh rate. And because of that more RAM, it's definitely going to be able to keep more apps and heavier apps in the background. And it's a much smoother experience on the 13 Pro Max as well. So in terms of speed, that covers it up there. Now let's go and hit on the cameras. Now, like I mentioned, 13 Pro Max has that triple camera setup, so a wide-angle lens, ultra-wide, and a telephoto lens with that LiDAR sensor, which is cool. The 10R, on the other hand, has a single wide-angle lens. Now, both can do 4K at 60 on the back. 10R can do 1080p at 60 on the front, but the iPhone 13 Pro Max can do 4K at 60, which is amazing. Now with the 13 Pro Max, without a doubt, you're getting a much better sensor, but the UIs are almost identical, which is very interesting. They almost look like the exact same phone, to be honest. Now portrait mode here, the 13 Pro Max does have the cinematic mode, which is essentially like portrait mode for video, which is really cool. I like it. It definitely needs some tuning up. Hopefully Apple can fix it via software, but it's a pretty cool, feature for sure. Now with the iPhone XR, like I mentioned, you're having a very solid just experience on the specific phone. I still think even though it's a single camera setup, it's a pretty decent single camera setup. And I've had a very good time with this specific phone. Now, it doesn't mean this phone is perfect. It definitely has some weird stuff going on, but for the most part, it's a very solid sensor. And you still have portrait mode, 4K at 60, all that good stuff. But the 13 Pro Max is definitely the far better camera. Now, like I mentioned, you're getting obviously that triple camera setup, which adds so much more capability, which is beautiful. You're getting that ultra wide sensor, which is amazing. You're getting that, camera where you can zoom in a lot, which is another pretty cool thing. And you're getting that 4K at 60 on the front and the back, which is awesome. And like I mentioned, in my experience, I like having that type of capability. I don't necessarily, am so crazy about the sensors on the front, but I do like having 4K at 60 on the front too. So definitely when it comes down to this camera, I like it a lot. It has a lot of capability, and without a doubt, it's definitely better than the iPhone XR for sure. So now we make it to the end of the video, and to be honest, even though the iPhone 13 Pro Max is a far better phone, it has a lot more capability, better battery life, 120 Hz, faster speed and all that stuff, I'm still somewhat surprised of the iPhone XR. I think this phone is still a very solid phone for sure. It still has a lot of capability. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, but it still has a lot of features for it. And I think, like I mentioned before, this phone, if I was just using this phone as an everyday basis, I would have a pretty good experience with it still. There's a lot of similarities here. There's a lot of overlap. Now, the 13 Pro Max definitely is probably, it's not probably, it is the better phone in pretty much every single avenue, in every single area. This phone has a faster speed, better looking phone, so premium. This thing is one of the most premium feeling phones of all time. Way better camera setup too, and 120 Hz better battery life. And this is the phone for you, in my opinion. The 13 Pro Max is perfect, but the iPhone XR, like I mentioned, is really good too, and I'm still surprised. This may be a better value per dollar, but the 13 Pro Max is a very good phone too, and I have very few problems with either one of these, but the 13 Pro Max is definitely the better phone for sure. So that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.